Okay, so look, let's shift gears for a minute. I know a lot of national news are happening, and this story might it's not gonna affect everybody, but I need you guys to be aware. Okay, so we spent the last segment talking about the presidential power and the corruption and distraction, right? Now I want to talk about something that hits closer to home for me. That literally it is. We're going to Oklahoma. Yes, I know, flyover state. I get it, but I live here. So please, don't look away. Because while the president is trying to duck and dodge Epstein connections in D.C., Ryan Walters is over here turning Oklahoma into a petri dish for authoritarian education experiments. This dude is not a superintendent. He's a political arsonist. And what he's doing to our schools is not just reckless. It's illegal, unethical, and downright dangerous. So let's start with the Bible, because of course we are. So first off, this genius decided that what our classrooms really need is the Bible. And I don't mean optional reading or cultural context. I mean he literally tried to mandate that every classroom in Oklahoma teach from the Bible. And he wanted to use $3 million in state money to buy them. Oklahoma is one of the poorest states in the country. $3 million in state money is way too much. And he even said that teachers who didn't comply could face disciplinary actions. Bro, what are we doing here? Like, that's some fascist shit right there. And this is a clear violation of the First Amendment. You cannot use public school money to push one religion. Period. It's all about the founding fathers. But Walters, he doesn't give a shit about that. Because it's never really about faith. It's about he wants control. And he doesn't stop there. He tried to fund a Catholic charter school with taxpayer dollars. The state Supreme Court shut it down and said, nope, you're not going to create the first taxpayer-funded religious school in the country. That's unconstitutional. That's the first time the Supreme Court has done something right. The current Supreme Court. And now, Walters is appealing to the United States Supreme Court, which he lost. Well, I say now, but it's a story. And he lost at the Supreme Court. Like, oh my gosh, like then he after his failure at the Bible thing, he went for after the immigrants. This man proposed, and he almost did it, that public schools should verify the citizenship or immigration status of not just the students, but their parents too. You hear that? Before your kid can go to class, you gotta show papers. Passport, green card, birth certificate. No documentation, no school. That is a straight up unconstitutional under Plyler versus Doe, a 1982 Supreme Court ruling that says every child has a right to a public education no matter their immigration status. Even our Governor Kevin Stitt, who's not exactly a liberal, he's like a dumbed down version of Trump. He said that this thing went a little too far. Even the state attorneys warned it will open the state up to lawsuits. But Walters, what did he do? He dug in. And don't be fooled. This wasn't about school funding or enrollment. It was a political stunt to stoke fear and push an anti-immigrant agenda. And guess what? Kids are already not showing up to school because their parents are scared. Now, he wants to do another thing. Then there was this curriculum thing. Walters pushed through a rewrite of Oklahoma's high school social studies standards that are so biased, so politically motivated, it makes Texas look progressive. And here's some of what he added. You ready? 1. Encouraging students to investigate suspicious patterns in the 2020 presidential election. You know, like the fake claims about ballot dumps. Yeah, that stuff. He wants to make it like that Trump was right and it was stolen. Yeah, that stuff. Removing any mention of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, or modern racial injustice movements. Then, 3. Promoting biblical references as national pride or cornerstone of American education. And 4. And turning social studies into a subtle form of indoctrination. He called it a win for parental rights. But what really is revisionist history wrapped in a red, white, and blue flag. Like, the founding fathers are probably like, I don't know, it was like rolling in their graves, or they want to crawl out and choke this man because he's an idiot. And yeah, here's the worst part. The taxpayers, yeah, we're footing the bill. That rewrite cost Oklahoma over $30 million in new materials and training for fucking propaganda. Now, here's what he gets real authoritarian. If you thought the other ones wasn't, this is where it gets crazy. You disagree with Walters, you push back as a teacher or administrator, he'll come after your accreditation. Because let's ask Tulsa Public Schools. When they didn't immediately implement his rule change, he threatened to strip their entire district's accreditation, basically shut them down. He also called teacher unions a terrorist organization, and he's still doing it to this day. Right now, after he passed, yeah, I'll tell you. And this is not exaggeration. He said this publicly. And he pushed for revoking teachers' licenses under vague accusation of critical race theory violations. Even though CRT isn't even taught in K-12 Oklahoma schools. It's a fucking law school class. This man weaponizes his office like a bully with a badge. And you know what else he did? It keeps going, guys. He put Shia Raichik, yeah, the woman behind Lives of TikTok, on the Oklahoma Library Advisory Board. This is someone directly linked to bomb threats at Children's Hospital, and he gave her a seat on the board deciding what books your kids can read. When he was confronted about it, he stood by her, said she was a parent advocate. Not a terrorist advocate, because she's not. She's white. Of course she's not a terrorist. A parent advocate who helped spread disinformation that led to real violence. And if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what else will, man. Okay, and before he was a state superintendent, Walters was already playing fast and loose with federal money. During the pandemic, he ran a program called Bridge the Gap, meant to help students with virtual learning tools and supplies. What turns out happened? $1.7 million in that program went to stuff like power tools, flat screen TVs, kitchen appliances, you name it. The FBI had to investigate it. And has he been held accountable? Of course fucking not. He's denies everything. Calls it a coordinated political attack. Who else in this world is doing the same shit? Anyways, sorry. Let me keep going. And now, here's the cherry on top for money grabs. Right now, Oklahoma is partnering with American Virtual Academy, a private right-wing online school that is literally on the verge of losing its accreditation in Arizona. It recently got voted 0 to 10, 10 against them, unanimous. They got terrible test scores, massive dropout rates, and zero transparency. And Ryan Walters wants them to serve as a statewide public option. You can't make this stuff up, guys. This is public education being privatized right in front of our faces. It's a money grab, it's a charter scheme, and it's going to leave our most vulnerable kids behind. Here's the craziest part. At this point, over 20 Republican lawmakers in Oklahoma have either called for Walters to resign or for investigation into his behavior. In a ruby red Oklahoma, 20 Republicans calling for him to resign or for investigations, that's huge. He's under scrutiny for hiding records, campaign finance violations, targeting trans students and families, failing to protect schools after threats, misusing funds. And what does he say? If they want to impeach me, bring it on. Like, this guy isn't trying to lead. He's trying to build a political brand off the backs of teachers, kids, and immigrants. And the sad part, it's working somehow. Because Governor Stitt as well is protecting him. Because he's scared because he appointed Ryan Walters. Anyways. And then the other part that he wanted to do, and he proposed, if you thought that list I just gave up is not terrible enough, here's what other thing he did. He wants to create this American First Education test for any teacher who wants to come to Oklahoma, but anybody who comes from a blue liberal state, such as California, Colorado, New York, you name it. Those are the liberal states. He's forcing these teachers to take a test to say if they are American enough to teach in Oklahoma. Only those states, only the blue states are getting punished for this. For his crazy idea. Like, let me be real here. This isn't just about Oklahoma. This is the National GOP's education playbook. Ryan Walters is just a test pilot. He's the test idiot. If he gets away with this, what do you think's coming to Texas, Florida, Missouri, Tennessee? Like, we've seen this pattern before. Ban the books, attack immigrants, silence teachers, push for privatization, and use for fear to stay in power. And what are the results of all that? Oklahoma is now dead last in education in America. 47th in 4th grade reading, 48th in 8th grade reading, 44th in 4th grade math, 45th in 8th grade math. The kids are not okay. The teachers are not okay. And this man gets a microphone every fucking day. And here's the truth, plain and simple. Ryan Walters doesn't care about education. He cares about power, politics, and punching down. He's willing to sacrifice a generation of students and kids to score likes in social media and land interviews on Fox News. And we can't let him get away with it. Because when education becomes a weapon, everybody loses. Especially the students.